Hello, welcome all. In today's edition, we'll be speaking on the responsibilities and role of a corporate communication manager. As we all know that the environment in which an organization operates has a great influence on the nature and the working. So its success largely depends upon how it is being viewed by a stakeholder, or it can be an investor, a customer, an employee, and also the number of community members. So it is very necessary for a corporate communication manager to build a very congenial relationship with its stakeholders. The corporate communication manager has to do a lot of activities to keep him busy, at the same time to engage in the with the various audiences and see how the work of the corporate or of the how the work of the organization takes place. So there are many things which has to be taken care by them. The very first initial period during the Industrial Revolution in the early of 1930s, it characterized that there was a large mass production and the consumption of goods and all. So the role of the communication was limited to only the promotional activities or the publicity or the selling of the manufactured goods. With the period and with the time, there was a lot of changes which could be seen in the way the organizations or the industries were working. So later on, there was a need for a professional expertise in the field of communication, thereby making more space for the corporate communication practices, which has to be done in a very systematic manner and in a very skillful way. So during the 1930s, maybe during the 1940s, there was a great evolution of organization from business to companies and from companies to corporates, and further, as we all know that with the industrialization, the globalization and the liberalization, there a lot of changes has happened in the way a corporate performs its duties and responsibilities. Paul Argentini, who is regarded as the father of modern corporate communication, says that he observes that a new law forced the companies to communicate in a situation which they are used to be. At the same time, he also says that there has to be a dedicated group of people who can communicate the right things to the public at the right time. So some scholars also believe that this corporate communication is an offshoot of the public relations. The thing which was related only to the media, okay, the public relation activities mainly evolved or maybe revolved only through the media relations. But with the passage of time, this PR, traditional PR, has been taken over, and now you see the modern corporate communication which has got a lot of things to be done. It can be the employee relations, it can be investor relations, it can be the government relations, it can be related to the corporate social responsibilities, the investor relations. So there has been a lot of changes which you could see. Corporate communication is an enabling process which helps the organization to communicate in a very effective manner. And Mr. Furnace in the year 2004 says that the corporate communication is a long-term strategic initiative taken by the corporate organization to communicate the core brand and its core messages to the spectrum of the audiences in this market. As a management function, corporate communication coordinates the communication initiatives of the company with the various audiences and the various public. So they have a specific role, they have a specific duty, and this has led to the landscape changes in the way the communication takes place. There has been a rapid changing in the shifting of technologies. The faster pace of the transmission has ever increased the increasing audiences also. Corporate communication assists an organization in determining the most advantageous role which a communication can play in influencing the key public of the organization. So there can be different kinds of messages. The messages has to be positive. The messages has to help in creating a good brand about the organization. So there are a lot of things the corporate communication manager is supposed to do. So when you look into the role and responsibilities of a corporate communication manager, as I told, in a day-to-day activities or in a day-to-day routine, the corporate communicator is engaged with a varieties of activities. It can be ranging from preparing the press releases, producing the communication strategies, preparing the communication material, designing and engaging himself in the interactive content for the audience. Then you also have internal counseling for the employees, handling your customer relations, or maybe gathering information, planning for your corporate social responsibility activities. So there has been a need for an effective communication strategies which the corporate communication managers have to do so that the organization can perform better. Communication is the main key. Each and every success, each and every good things in an organization happens only when the communication is done in a very proper manner and with the selecting of a proper channel through which it can reach to the target audience on time. So to list out some of the major activities or the major role of the corporate communication managers, it usually have preparing the communication materials and selecting the appropriate media to deliver it to the various stakeholders. So you should need to understand that it's not only about preparing a proper material for the media, but at the same time you as a corporate communication manager should know that which is the proper channel through which this thing or this messages can be sent to the audiences. You can use television, you can use the print media, or now you have the digital media, you have the social media coming in. So you need to understand that how this message has to be reaching out to the targeted audience. Then the second important thing is diagnosing the communication process in the organization and resolving the communication issues. When you have an organization, things bound to happen. There may be many miscommunication which can happen within the organization, or they can be a deliberate miscommunication which can bring in a kind of tension within the organization. So a role of the corporate communication manager is also to see how these issues or how this problem, sudden problem or maybe a sudden tension which comes in, has to be resolved in a very dignified and in a very amicable manner. Thirdly, acting as a mediator between an organization and the stakeholders so that you can ensure a improved understanding and a better relationship between the two. It is also very necessary because when you are representing an organization, you have various kind of stakeholders. Public are different, the government officials are different, the media is different, your investors are different, your distributors are different. So you are dealing with different varieties of people. So one of the important characteristics or the role and responsibility of a communication manager or a corporate manager is to see how well you can communicate. So you need to act as a bridge between these organizations. You need to tell what the organization is ready to do for you. In turn, you need to understand what are the issues, what are the problems these stakeholders are facing in terms of media, in terms of distributors. So you need to act as a bridge. This is also one of the very important role what a corporate communication manager has to do. Then you also need to collaborate with the managers and identify to solve communication problems. When I say a corporate, it is not only about one department. Various departments will be there in an organization. One will be developing the content, one will be into the packaging, one will be into the distribution, one will be an HR department, then you have an administrative department. So there are various departments. So you as a corporate communication manager has to see that the information is being passed on or the communication happens within the high level managers. Okay, because you need to speak to these managers at the right time, get the issues solved so that there is no difference between the department. Because when you have departments, it is very necessary to see that all these departments work as one. Ultimately, the real goal or the end role can be achieved by an organization. So the role of the corporate communication manager is also to see that you communicate with the leading managers of the various departments and hold them as one single identity. That is very much necessary, and see that there is no miscommunication happening, see that there is no bad flow of information which can wreck the whole organization. So this you need to take care of that very well. Then you also have guiding the decision making process of an organization. So the organization depends upon the kind of decisions you make. There are many decisions which can bring you laurels. There are many decisions which can spoil the organization in terms of their brand, in terms of their identity. So decision, whatever the decision you take, it is ultimate or an organization to make or mar it. So you need to understand that whatever the decision you take has to have the opinion of all. You just can't take any decisions unilaterally. Only when it is being involved, when all the members of the organization get involved in an organizational decision, then only the better results can be achieved. So one of the important role of a corporate communication manager is to be a part of this decision making, act as a bridge between the various departments, see what are the pros and cons if this particular decision has taken. It shouldn't be beneficial only to one section of the organization. It has to benefit the whole section of the organization. So these kind of activities are also very important for them. The next important thing is to build a reputation of the company with the key officers. Okay, when I say it is a corporate, you are a brand by yourself. A company doesn't become a brand overnight. It is a laborious process. It is a very continuous process what an organization takes place. So over the years, with the good customer relations, with the good product, with the good pricing, with the good kind of a presentation, you create a kind of name and a brand in the eyes of the community members. So it is also very necessary that how you build this reputation, by doing what kind of activities this brand can be built. So you need to identify those things, and you need to coordinate and work with the key officers of the society. Then you also have designing. One of the other important activities is about designing effective corporate strategies. There are many strategies which are being developed by these corporate managers. It can be in the form of a trade, it can be in the form of an exhibition, it can be in the form of a marathon, it can be in the form of a health drive. So there are different kind of a communication and a corporate strategies which are being done. Just to give an example, take the example of a particular channel like NDTV or so. So they are a brand by themselves, but still they organize certain discussions, they organize certain activities, they get themselves into the CRS activity like Saving the Tiger campaign, or it can be back to school campaign, which this was done by the NDTV. The main purpose of this is to not only to attract the attention of the society members, but at the same time, by having or getting into these kind of different activities, the brand of the channel automatically goes up. So these are the kind of effective strategies which can be planned at different intervals, so that the people will know you, that you are not only into the business of making money, but it's also about the community services also. So those kind of things can also be planned. Then can also have something called as managing interpersonal relations in the organization. So within the organization, as I told, there are different categories of employees. You have managers, you have got middle level managers, then you have got the lower level management people. So all these people have to be communicated. So you need to maintain a kind of transparency among these employees. So when the employees are happy, when the employees are being kept informed about the organization, so it becomes a strong point. So one of the major responsibility of a corporate communication manager today is to have a very good rapport, and also to have a continuous flow of communication. Whatever the things happen at the board level has to reach even the last person of the organization. So then only he or she will feel that they are a part of the organization. So you need to understand that these kind of interpersonal communication, which is been absent in many of the sectors, had to be set right. Okay, you need to involve everybody, you need to take everybody's opinion, you need to stand by their decisions sometimes. So looking at the larger picture, it's always better to have a good quality interpersonal communication. If there is a problem with the employees, you can have an one-to-one talk with them, get the problem sorted out. If there is a problem between two departments, you can summon those managers of the department, have an one-to-one interaction across the table, get the problem solved, instead of making it a very big issue, or making it a very exaggerating the issue, or breaking the whole organization into two pieces. It's always better to have a quality interpersonal communication which can be sorted out, and that is what a corporate communication manager has to do. Then also responsibility is also to create a very strong positive corporate image of the company. So nowadays, with a lot of competition, as we all see that there is huge competition among the corporates, not only at the national level but also at the global level. So it is your primary duty to see that how strong, how positively and how constructively you people can project your organization to the public. Okay, that is very much important. You do it by doing the activities, you do it by telling the narratives of your organization, you tell it about in the form of an advertisement, you give it in the form of the corporate videos, you tell them in the form of a documentary, you make yourself available on the business channel. So when people start seeing, it is very much necessary to be in the minds of the people for a longer run. People, as we all know, public memory is very small. So you need to be there. You need to, your company, your corporate need to linger in the minds of the people. So how can you do it? You can just be in the news, but in a very constructive manner, or maybe in a very positive manner. You need to keep yourself going around so that the things can be things can fall on place. Then you also have something called as promoting participation and involvement of the stakeholders of the organization. As we all know, for an organization to grow, we need different stakeholders. Organization produce things so that it can be used by the community. Organization do activities so that the community can be benefited. So it's not only about organization doing all the work for the community or to the stakeholders. It is also necessary to involve these stakeholders in the activities of the organization. There are many collaborative programs you people can do. There are many joint ventures you people can do, like then investment can be done, or maybe if you want to involve yourself in a health checkup, so you can involve the hospitals and the organizations which you are working and come up with a program. So by doing so, even the stakeholders will also feel a sense of belongingness towards the organization, and the things can happen in a very free manner. Then you also have something called as assisting the organization in the corporate social responsibility. In some of the classes, we have spoken about extensively as to how this corporate social responsibility has become an integral part. Today, every activities of the organization comes to the corporate social responsibility. A part of their activities are about developing the community, involving the community, uplifting the community in terms of children, women, health, environment. So as a corporate communication manager, it is your duty to see that how the activities, how well you can strategize, how well you can plan, how well you can execute these plans when it comes to corporate social responsibility. The role of the corporate social responsibility is not only about this. It is also about how you maintain your brand. It is also about how you groom yourself. You need to project your company in front of the media relations, or it can be in the terms of the government relation. A corporate communication manager has to be a very experienced person. It is not only about having a degree from a reputed universities. It is also about how you people can tackle the issues. There are many a times it so happens that there may be a crisis in the organization. And apart from what is being listed just now, there is also something called as a crisis communication. A crisis is a situation where a company is undergoing a loss, a company has got into a wreckage, or a company has gone into a bad situation which may be not, which is very difficult for them to come out of it. The brand might have got tampered. So it is up to the corporate communication manager to see how this brand can be regained. Making a name is different thing, and even spoiling a name is completely different thing. The kind of empire or the kind of brand you have built over the years can be spoiled within no time. It can be due to the lack of bad quality of work by your organization, or it can be due to the employees. Okay, there are many a times where the employees have done a bad thing which has been affecting the very brand of the company. So it is up to the corporate communication manager to see that how these crises can be managed. Okay, you need to understand the core issues of the thing. You need to control the damage in the media, because media will be writing a lot about your organization. So you will be there on all the headlines of the newspapers, you will be there on all the news channels and all. So that means your brand is getting affected. So if your brand is getting affected, obviously there will be a downfall of your shares in the market. People will stop investing in you, the employees will stop trusting in you. So it is a time when you have to regain that kind of a trust among the employees, among the stakeholders, among the media. So one of the activities of the corporate communication manager is also to see how this crisis can be controlled, how you can control the damage. Okay, by giving the positive stories, by giving the constructive stories, speaking to the right kind of people, planting the stories in the newspapers, getting the interviews of the CEOs in the national channels, business channels. So by doing so, you are trying to not only to put down the kind of damage which has happened, but at the same time to regain or to reconstruct the brand what has been lost. There are many examples. Just to give you a small examples of Cadbury's or Dairy Milk had a kind of a downfall when they could see some small worms in the packaging or maybe in the manufacturing of the chocolate. So while where there was a lot of cases of these kind of things happening, the Dairy Milk chocolate was seeing a downfall in the market because there were many other competitors of the same kind of a chocolate production. So that is how the damage has to be controlled. Okay, so you come up with a new brand ambassador where you come and speak about the good things. You speak about how the quality check happens within the chocolate factories, how the packaging is done, so how the care has been taken so that they can rectify the old mistakes of the packaging things which has been the reason of the crisis. So these kind of activities have to be planned very meticulously, and also has to be executed by these corporate communication manager. As we all know, when you are in a corporate and when you have the responsibility as a corporate communication manager, that means you are shouldering a huge responsibility. It's not only about how you communicate, it's also about how you make feel or how you make others understand the issue. So you need to be the bridge in the organization. So you need to understand all the issues, the nitty gritties of an organization, so that you can communicate well, you can plan well, at the same time see that your organization retains and also develops its own brand in the coming days also. But as I told, it's a very challenging job. The role of the corporate manager is a very challenging job. So you meet different kinds of people every day. So you need to understand that the kind of communication what you do with your international investors is not the same with your employees. The way you communicate with your employees, it's not the same the way you have to deal with your media persons. So there is a different way. So as and when you people start working in a corporate, it gives you or it exposes you to a different kind of a world. The only thing is the experience will teach you. The only thing is with the process, it is a process which will keep you to learn more and more things. The only thing what a corporate manager has to do is to keep himself open or keep herself open. At the same time, learn from the mistakes. The kind of learning is always better. Okay, keep yourself informed, keep yourself updated with the happenings of your organization. All the information related to your organization should be there on your fingertip, each and everything. So you need to know the accounts, you need to know the employees, you need to know the administration, you need to know the business, you need to know finance. So it is a kind of an thing which where you are a master of all. So you have to be aware of all these things. But as I told, it's a very challenging job, and if you are being given a very good break in the good organization, I think you can reach many heights. You need to travel a lot. It will expose you to a lot of culture. At the same time, we'll also understand how the work culture happens in different places. So these are the modern responsibilities, role and responsibilities of a corporate communication manager. Thank you.